I mean, look, Eubank's playing a blinder for the promotion of the fight. I mean, a little bit annoying. I mean, unfortunately, if I could fight, I'd want to give him a slap myself, but that's not going to happen. So, Conor's fired up. I mean, honestly, I've never seen someone put themselves through what he is putting himself through in training camp. He is going to be like a caged animal when that bell goes on April 26th. Big disadvantage in size, but he makes up for it in attribute, hunger, youth, tenacity, volatility, and he is in camp with his dad, grafting and dreaming every day of violating Chris Eubank Jr. on April 26th and doing it in spectacular fashion. And I can't.
Concern for Eubank is the amount of weight this boy's got to cut to come down to, I think the fight's made at 160 pounds, is that right? Right. So he's got to come down from 100, from whatever his walking round weight is. Let's say he walks around at 180 pounds when he's out of training. That's like 20 pound weight difference, right? That he's got to lose. It's not safe. It's not. He can't possibly be at his physically strongest. He can't. And he's really putting himself on the line, right? Because when your weight weakened, I know I've been weight drained in fights previously. So I'm speaking from a point of reference. When you're weight drained, it doesn't matter what you eat on the day, it doesn't make you strong.
When I say I got to give credit to them, I do give him credit because he's tough. Do you know what I mean? And let me bring this up, Andy. Let me bring this up about Eubank Jr. No one gives him credit for how nonchalant he was when he lost to Liam Smith. He said it was a punch from the gods. We were like, no, it wasn't. You got starfished. But guess what? In a rematch, he had the same energy. He had the same approach for the first fight. He had that nonchalantness, that approach that I'm going to beat you up regardless. Even though he had been knocked out a few months before, he came to Manchester, was booed by 1 million people. I was there, and he came out and it's not spoken about so much. Like, the credit isn't given enough to him. How he bounced back from that upset, came in a rematch and beat the guy, stopped him. It's not enough credit there. And for Conor Benn as well, fights like his dad, so you can't say much there. Do you know what I mean? The will is there, the willpower is in there. So when I say we got to give these two fighters credit, we genuinely do, because it's a tough sport, and they've been in tough fights, they've come out on top, and now they're creating this big fight in England.
I'd have said Conor Benn, so I'd have to lean towards Chris. For what reason? Because his last fight, I wasn't impressed, but he's been more active, he's been busier, and so therefore you've got to lean towards. I would lean towards Chris for that reason. If Conor's career had carried on the way it carried on, then I'd say Conor, because I think he was one of the fastest developing fighters I'd ever seen in the UK at that particular time. So I just think that time out, I think we've lost an important period in Conor's development as a fighter.
Got to say, Eubank Jr. is a pretty strong favourite, but I was speaking to Nigel Benn at the press conference at Tottenham Hotspur, and I thought I better not sit around him too long, because his confidence, he was that confident that he almost swayed me. He's very infectious when you've got someone totally believing in themselves or their son, who cannot see any other way but them winning. It can be, like I say, contagious, infectious, whatever. So I think, look, cold light of day, I think you've got to say Eubank Jr. is the favourite.
I think Chris Eubank Jr. has to start the favourite. He's the bigger guy of the two. He's been the more tested of the two. He's boxed at a higher level. Conor Benn has had his troubles outside of the ring with the 2 foul test that put him inactive. I mean, I know he had a couple of low-key fights, but not very active, not as active as he'd like to have been. He was boxing at 147. This is now up at 160. Anyone that will think, well, it's not that much of a jump. Trust me, it is. For boxers, it's a huge jump. And Chris is a guy coming down from 168. He boxed George Groves at 168 in the World Super Series. And, he boxed him at 168. He come back down to 160.
I never really fancied him at super middle, though, did you?
No, I didn't fancy him at super middle. He was too small against George Groves. We could see that. 160 is his weight. It is tough there. They put a rehydration clause of 10 pounds in there, but I don't think that'll make much of a difference, because 10 pounds is quite a lot of fluid to put back into the... Chris has to start the favourite because of where he's positioned, but he's getting older now, and Conor Benn is young, and there's a lot on the line for him, and I think it's a coming-of-age fight for Conor. We'll see now just how good he is. Is he good enough? Can he compete at that level? Because Chris has always sort of been there or thereabouts, world level, so it's an interesting fight.
The problem with Eubank's record is this, Spencer.
Eubank Jr. Conor Benn fight does absolutely nothing for me.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. lost to George Groves, he lost to Billy Joe Saunders, he doesn't box, he boxes once a year. He looked terrible in his last fight. He was slow with his jab, he was leaving his chin in the air, his balance looks like it's gone. He's 36 years old, talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez and taking on all these top, he was talking about Triple G for a while, who's now gone 40 and retired. Conor Benn, what's Conor Benn done?
Not a lot, to be fair.
He's beat Chris Algieri and failed, he's failed that drugs test. We're not seeing him do anything.
Yeah.
He's fought nobody, he's not developed. He's not developed, he's done nothing. So for Conor Benn to jump in there with Chris Eubank Jr., the only reason that fight would be close is because they're probably going to drain Eubank down to 160, a middleweight. And then, but Conor Benn's having to come up from 147.
Yeah.
So
the gap there
it's not an exciting fight. He don't prove anything.
Yeah, I've said this numerous times, I think, and not just about this fight in particular. I think all fighters need to vary their attacks. They need to vary their defence. You can't be predictable in this sport. You've got to remember, boxing, there's such a fine line between winning and losing. There's only so much you can do. You've got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a brain. And who can use that brain better than the other? And I think variation in all of your work is so important. So yes, attacks to the body going to be paramount. The jab, crucial. I think out of the two, Conor has the better jab. At times, Eubank Jr.'s jab's been non-existent. We see him starting to use his jab a little bit more under his short time with Roy Jones, but it's a shot that he neglects. So yeah, I think variation, certainly from Conor Benn, is going to be much needed on April 26th.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I think everyone's enjoyed the build-up to the fight. I just hope that the actual fight builds up to what everyone's expecting, a proper fight between them both.
What are you doing if someone slaps you in the head with an egg to face off?
I haven't got a clue, mate. Honestly, I haven't got a clue. I'm not the violent type, but obviously I probably have to make a quick judgment call if you can class it as self-defense. I reckon you'd pass for self-defense. Depends how quick security can grab you. If I say it's too much, I think it'll be alright at the weight. But I just think that Eubank will be the much bigger man, and I think Eubank's fought at a much higher level than Ben has. I think that's all it is, and I think Eubank will probably win on point. He's got that tenacity, that hunger. We've got that proper dog in him, hasn't he? So it'll be hopefully it makes out to be a good fight.
The only way I see someone, I've said this loads of times as well, weight divisions for a reason, and a good big one always beats a good little one, and I just feel like Eubank, the only way Eubank will lose is if he's weak at the weight, and that might be the reason why he's weak at the weight, so it could be a big part of it.
Who do you think wins? What's your prediction on that fight?
I just feel like Eubank's the bigger guy, and if he's strong at the weight, then I feel like he should win. But that's the big question: is he going to be strong because of the clock?
I just think Conor Benn's going to win. Too young, too fresh, and although, listen, Eubank, it took a lot for him to come back after getting viciously knocked out by Liam Smith to come back and beat Liam. I just think the fight's happening at the right time for Conor Benn. I think the fight's happening at the right time, and I favour Conor Benn in the fight.
Yeah.
I think Eubank Jr. is good for boxing. Genuinely, I think Chris Jr. is good for boxing. I think that if he was promoted by a Frank Warren or an Eddie Hearn back in the day when he turned pro, he would be an even bigger star than what he is now because of how he is. He's funny, like he's mild. He's quite funny, isn't he, Eubank Jr. He speaks well. But yeah, I think he's good for boxing. But I just think Conor Benn's going to.
Looking forward to that fight. For the simple fact is like that event within itself is fantastic because it's crossed over. Lots of people are talking about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. There was nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely excellent. Plus, I can remember when the two fathers first fought, and the second time is when they fought in October of '93. But when the fathers first fought, when they first went at it, I remember that fight clearly in my head. It was a Sunday night. It was at November 18th, 1990, and it was like, it seemed like the world stopped to watch that. This has drawn something from it because everybody's talking about it, and fair play to both men. They're selling the fight really well, which is genuine. It's not orchestrated. Oh, you're gonna do this. No, it's proper. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Made a better man.
I was a bit concerned about Eubank's mental state, because smash an egg into someone's face, you're not in a good place. So hopefully it's just because of emotions and, you know, but yeah, it did concern me, because people like all this about boxing. I don't like that side of boxing. I don't think you need to do any of that trash talking or all the acts. Obviously it's got everyone talking about it, but for Eubank to do that to him shows he's not in a good place for me. But it's down to them what they do and how they do it. So, but for me personally, I don't like watching things like that.
I think it's going to be a great fight. I really do, and both boys want to win this fight badly, obviously for their name and for their fathers. And I believe that it's going to be a great fight. But I strongly believe that my man will come out the victor of the fight, and but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a momentous occasion, and I'm sure all the fans are looking forward to it as well, and I'm sure as a boxing fan that everyone will be tuning in to watch it as well.
Yeah, maybe then you just don't know. Maybe where does he go from there if Conor beats him? I'm not trying to say Conor's any less of him, but yeah, Chris is obviously the guy who should beat him because he's a lot heavier, maybe more seasoned, but you know, it's definitely a 50-50 fight in my eyes. I think Conor's going to beat him. So yeah, you can see where that thought process comes from. But you know, who knows? I know Chris likes to play poker a lot, so maybe comes back for the money or something.
The fight don't need to get any bigger than what it is. It's a great fight. I can't wait to watch it, and we're only a month away.
Again, another historic fight. You know, wow. Again, I don't like sitting on the. I'm gonna sit on the fence on that one, and I'm close with both parents. You know, I'm gonna sit on the fence. All I can say on that one, may the best man win. It's gonna be a terrific fight.
Chris Eubank Jr. is the favorite to win against Conor Benn because he is bigger, more experienced, and has fought more recently. Benn's father, Nigel, believes in him, but some worry that Benn's long break might make it harder for him. Eubank has to lose weight for the fight, but he has fought tougher opponents before. Benn is young and fights with a lot of energy, so it could be a close match. Fans are excited, and both fighters are training hard for their big fight on April 26th.